Beautiful.
Hi, I'm Sharon from Wood Station, and I'm coming to Australia.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. First and foremost, I have to ask, what's taken you guys nearly 30 years to come to Australia?
Yeah, there's no real good excuse except for that it was difficult to fit in and to find the right promoter to, well, to actually to bring us over, to be honest. And those kind of things were the most difficult things to tackle, well, to get in the right place. But after 30 years, we're still coming. So and that's a lot because it's not only that, but also I have I'm afraid of flying, and 24
Oh,
hours is going to be horrific for me.
yeah.
That's something that I have to be honest about as well. But we have several people around me that have done it many times. You, Sharon, you take the sleeping pill and you're there. You don't worry about it.
Exactly. Best tip. I know that flight isn't the nicest, but yeah, if you can do anything, even some meditation, breath work, that sort of stuff, you'll be
Yeah, yeah, that
fine.
will. Yeah, exactly. So I'm gonna try. It's gonna be a new experiment. So
Yeah. Oh, good on you for pushing
yeah,
trying new things. That's awesome. And how do you all feel about playing Knotfest alongside some other huge bands on the lineup?
yeah. Looking forward to that as well. I think festivals and also this one, of course, is like for us, it's like a candy store because then you have, especially because we're not playing that late on the day this time. So normally we play at night, and then you are constantly busy with what you're gonna do, at your show. But when you already have an early show, then you have the whole evening to explore all these bands that you don't know or haven't seen yet. Or so yes, I'm looking forward to that. So can't wait to explore and to enjoy. It's
Oh,
like I
that's
said, candy
awesome.
store.
Yeah, that's it. And what band in particular, or is there a few bands in particular you're looking forward to seeing?
Yeah, let me think who are playing again. There are a lot of them that I want to see, but I'm sorry, so bad at names. I'm sorry, I didn't prepare that.
No, that's okay. There's a really good Australian band who I really enjoy, who you might enjoy too. And then there's
Oh,
a UK band. There's so Polaris, and then the UK band is Enter Shikari. I recommend you check them out.
okay, I will. I will.
Yeah.
The last one, I think I actually know. I have heard about them.
Yeah, they're pretty big. They're awesome. Um, do things get pretty wild for you guys on tour, or are you all about rest and recovery?
Well, to be honest, the guys are pretty rock and roll always, but for me, I just need to, they can play the guitar no matter if they had a heavy night before or not. But if I want to sing, then it's a different ball game for me. So I'm always been a little bit more cautious of, how I go through the night before, because of course I enjoy myself, but
Yeah.
there's for me a certain limit that I can't cross, because if I want to give people the next day a nice show, then I still need to, yeah, take that in consideration, of course. It's not very rock and roll, but yeah, it's how it works.
No, that's it. You look after yourself so that you can put on your best show. I think
Yeah, exactly. That's people pay for that. So yeah.
that's it. Yeah. Um, your latest album delivers a few political messages. Why was that important to you all to use your platform as a band to speak about these issues?
Well, when 30 years ago when we started, we didn't want to be that political or not that outspoken, although we've always been very much inspired by politics, and it's always been in our music, but more through metaphors. And we didn't talk about that much during interviews, but has always been something that inspired us, because it affects so many people's lives, of course, especially the last few years. What's been happening in the world, it's been, to my opinion, beyond crazy. So many things at the same time, but it's not like it's the first time that this is happening in the world. Of course, we had the Second World War, and the First World War, and many other things happening in different parts of the world. But what's happening now is like there's such an instability, and the world feels so unstable, that we felt like more and more when we grew older eventually, and at the point that we are now, felt like you need to speak up as a band. You have a platform,
Yeah.
and we stand for certain values, and our fans know that, and it's important to talk about these things and to point out where your point is, or what your stand is in all of this craziness. um, because people feel hurt. I think also people in the Ukraine, certain countries. Well, the songs that came on our album actually was because of the fact that when we were writing in the studio at that moment, the war broke out in the Ukraine. So that subject came into our music because you were seeing the images, you were thinking of the people that you've met while playing in the Ukraine. We've played a lot of times in Russia as well, maybe even more so in Russia. But this war was so particular, clear who the aggressor is and who's not the aggressor. It was just very, also in a way, easy to take your stand, where maybe Gaza or many other things are sometimes more difficult because there's such a history before and still going on. But when we wrote about the Ukraine, it was because it was happening at that moment. And also Iran, we wrote a song, Bleed Out, which is about Masa Amini getting killed by morality police now. So, and those kind of things, you see generations fighting back, all the generations with different values. And I think we also get a lot of mails from emails from people, from fans saying like, okay, it's so nice to be heard, although you're from a different country. And I understand that there's so much more going on than those two countries, of course, but those are the two that inspired us in that moment when we were writing the album, of course. But you see, of course, there's so much more going on in the world right now that needs to be spoken of, because you keep the subject alive. If you don't talk about it anymore, then it dies down and it gets to the background. So you see it a lot of times in newspapers. People don't want to write about the same subject, like the Ukraine was not mentioned as much as it could have been, maybe, or other countries as well. Because people were they could see that people got fed up with them writing about it. So people were more cautious what they were talking about. And that's also bad in a way, because the war still goes on and people are still fighting for their lives. And so I think for music, for us initially, it was to write off the frustration about it. And then you end up repeating it all the time again on stage, of course, and talking about it in interviews again, which is a strange kind of circle coming back to you again. But on the other hand, it also keeps the subject alive, and that's important, I think.
Definitely. I think it's really courageous of you guys to speak and have that voice as an artist, because I know there's a lot of fans and people that do look to artists to, have their say or have an opinion or voice on certain subjects. And so sometimes when they don't speak up, it can be really disappointing. And are the ideas and lyrics behind your music a collaborative effort between you all, or does it all just come from you?
It's not a collective thing, because I write the lyrics with Robert most of the time, and it's also something that we realized actually when we were touring this album, and that's sometimes we run ahead because we're writing the music, Robert and I, and we're working with our producer, and the three of us are talking about the subjects constantly, and we are so, and then you still have to inform the band about what you were talking about, and you can see that they still have to make that development, but they do eventually, and they do stand for the same values, but it's sometimes that there's a gap between that still. And that's something we realized also, like, especially when you're so outspoken about certain things, you need to keep the rest of the band updated as well, because they're going to be asked questions as well. And we didn't realize that as much because we haven't been that outspoken since the latest album about something. So that's something we learned. But the next album will inform them a little bit better and more about what it's about, and so they can have that transition as well.
Awesome. And what challenges have you faced as a female frontwoman in the metal genre?
Well, actually, I was at the ASNAC in the Netherlands, which is this gathering of people from the industry. And I was asked to talk there with Anneke van Giersberg, who's from the gathering. We were both bands starting in the beginning of the scene that I'm in, more or less. And we were also asked, like, what was it for you to be as one of the first women in metal to what kind of encounters, what kind of things did you come across? And actually, I've always felt very at home in the metal. I think somehow I was never felt... of course, you had challenges. There was always, of course, certain groups that were having difficulty seeing a woman, and you know, dealing with that while they're only listening to Metallica, for instance, just to say so. Also because we played as a support act in the beginning of our career for Metallica a lot of times, and some fans loved it, and there was also some fans that hated it. But you know, it's like, and that's fine, because we've always been like, you know, we don't care. This is an opportunity for us, you know, opening up for them at the time.
That's it.
And yeah, and if you can win hearts over because they do enjoy what you're doing and they think it's cool that you still go on, although you get a lot of shits, you know. And but I must say that it was very diverse. But in the scene itself, I've always loved working with men. I've never had any strange things happening to me. Always had, of course, at that time, my boyfriend with me in the band, of course.
Yeah,
And I've always felt like, yeah, and I've always felt like one of them. And I've never felt like I was separated from anything because I was a woman or anything. So that was cool, actually. And I'm really happy to see that a lot of women started from that point as well. Not just because of me, but a lot of women at that time that started making music in metal did inspire a lot of young women after that. And that's really cool, because I think the more there is of us, yeah, the more diversity, and I think it will bring more people and more ladies to the metal. And I think we have a different color to bring and a different sound. So it's definitely makes the scene more diverse, of course.
Yeah, definitely. That's so good to hear that your experience was positive throughout all of that as well. You had, very little issues. You know, you get the people that maybe don't love your stuff, but that's with anything. But I'm just glad that you were, able to get through it.
Yeah, exactly. No strange A&R people or anything.
Yeah. And on that, what advice would you give to aspiring musicians, particularly females wanting to break into the industry?
I think, well, I think the thing is always to find what you like most doing, like the sounds you like, the bands you like, but also bring something new to that. So don't be something that's already there, but try to be your own version of that, and you will bring something new. You know, it's like, I think your own sound is important. Your own identity is what will make people connect to you, not just a copy of something, but to find your own sound and a way of presenting yourself is going to be the key thing that makes you different from other bands. So that is pretty important, to be honest.
Yeah, great advice. Do you currently have any guilty pleasure music or music you enjoy that may be a shock considering the music you make?
Well, I just told some people before you that the lady that got me into music was actually Olivia Newton-John, and I've listened to her throughout my whole life.
No way. Yeah. Oh, how lovely.
Yeah, I was like 4 or 5 years old when I saw the movie Grease, and I was just like, I want to do the same thing. I would just want to sing, and I felt she had the voice of an angel, and she looked like an angel. And as a young girl, I was like, wow, this is so cool. And from that point, I started already with bands on a very early age. I was 11 when I started my first band in school, and and after that, I got into other bands while being in music school. I found some guys who were close to 20 years old, and I was 14, and they was like, would you like to be the singer of our band? And I started performing with them in cities and stuff like that, in bars and on the street, on festivals, small local festivals, and in totally different kind of music than I'm in now. But it was like playing song of Pink Floyd, but also Iron Maiden, and but also Stevie Ray Vaughan. There's also blues kind. I played everything when I was young.
Yeah,
big range of different styles of music, but I eventually did figure out that the music I love most is the more heavy music. And I started with grunge music at the time. I was totally in love with Nirvana and everything. What surrounded the grunge music. And from that point, I met actually Robert, and he introduced me more to the different kind of music again, more with grunge and
Do you know what? I think in all your influences you mentioned there from way back, it actually translates through your music as well, because it's really hard to just define Within Temptation as one genre. I think you guys have so many different elements there. There's melodic in there. There's a lot of different things going on. So
yeah, totally. I totally agree with you. And especially how we started. I think It was Robert was really into Marillion, and I know we all were into Planet and Dead Can Dance and those kind of music. So it was all a merge of so many styles that everybody liked. And I
Yeah,
think everything you listened to that at one time inspired you, it's in there, you know. So and
definitely. Yeah, I can definitely hear it in there.
yeah.
What are you most looking forward to about your trip to Australia?
Um, well, to discover, of course, I'm looking forward to the festivals and our own shows that we're going to do, but also to discover your country, you know, the nature, because it's such a different nature than we have anywhere else in the world. So I've been to Australia when I was a kid. I was
Oh,
my parents were expats and we lived like for 5 6 years almost in Indonesia. So we went to
yeah.
Australia to have a trip with a Volkswagen a van to tour there. And I've seen a lot of places, but you know, a lot of things that I remember is from pictures. So it's not a lot that I remember, just certain memories that pop up sometimes. But
Wow.
yeah, I can't wait to see it again and then maybe to see what comes back also to me.
Yeah. Oh, lovely. That's so amazing that it sounds like you got to grow up in a few different places actually and travel the world quite a bit.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. And I think that also gave me a different perspective on the world than some other people from my own country at the same age. You know, so I've lived in Yemen, I lived in Suriname, and Suriname and Yemen were not the most easy places to live at because Yemen was actually at war when we were there. So it was like, and in Suriname, it was actually a beautiful place and people were so nice. But then you had the revolution well, it was a coup actually by
Mhm.
Bouterse. So there was a lot of political stuff going on in those countries where I lived, except for Indonesia, where it was pretty quiet and relaxed where we lived. So yeah, it was very diverse, my
Yeah.
childhood.
Yeah, definitely. That I can imagine that would have been so eye-opening as a youngin to grow up around a lot of those different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Fans of Within Temptation can catch their side shows on Monday, the 3rd of March at Princess Theatre, Brisbane, and Thursday, 6th of March at Max Watts, Melbourne. Sharon, it's been great talking to you. We know you'll kill it at Knotfest. I can't wait to see you there.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you
Hope to
so
see you
much.
there.
Thank you. Take care.
Bye.